Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montes, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montes. Now, I know that this is very, very late, but we have to do this, so, it's February already, and I was supposed to do this video for January 31st, but I was kind of busy, so I couldn't do it. But, it's February 5th, we're now a couple days late, but today, here's my ranking of every single retro film that I saw in the month of January 2022. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. And these are, I've watched 22 January movies that were released before January of 2022. And in last place, at number 22, is Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa. Now, this is actually the first Jackass movie that I actually ever watched, because I'm watching for the new one that comes out next week. And this is easily my least favorite one. I'm not sure if all the other ones are going to be good, but this is the worst one, because now obviously I knew that the Jackass movies would be very stupid films based off of stupid premises and just doing stupid stuff and getting hurt. But the whole premise of this movie isn't really doing anything it's just old people doing weird stuff, not really funny. And then you have like this woman that's dressed up, you have this guy that's dressed up as a woman giving breast milk to an old man, even though the boobs are fake. And even then, it's still disgusting, it's still weird, and it's still awful. Number 21, Home on the Range. I thought that this was another disaster of a film, where basically, the animation was cool. The characters were fun. The cast was cool. But the problem here is that the whole movie just feels so fast, feels so rushed, and that it just feels so weird at times. And I don't even know why. And honestly, this switched to my least favorite Disney film of all time when I saw it. Number 20, Oliver and Company. Now, this was another Disney film that I watched in this month, and I was just surprisingly disappointed with this film. Because I kept seeing songs for it, I kept seeing so many posters for it, and it's like, this is a Disney movie that I just really want to see. And it just turned out disappointing. Like, the animation style of New York was great, but then it transitions, it has too many storylines with a cat, and then it introduces this dog, the other dog characters, this poor guy, and then this rich family, and then it just compiles it all together, and you even have all the characters meet up with all the plot lines mixing up together, and it just doesn't really make for an interesting plot line to me, so it's one of the least interesting ones. 19, Chicken Little. I thought this was a bit of a better film, but at the same time, it's not. It starts out as Chicken Little wants to prove himself by playing baseball, but then he keeps going back to the sky is falling plotline, where it turns into a whole alien invasion storyline, which, as the plot of a Disney movie, I don't really think that really works. But there are some stuff that is kind of funny. I do laugh at it at certain points, especially when he was like to his dad, "What are we talking about?" Like that's just like one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie, and I was just cracking up. And I was like watching it at like 3 a.m. and so it was just so funny. But besides that, also, as it's one of the first like computer animated films of Disney animation, it's easily bad, so I don't love it as much. 18, Dunkirk, the Christopher Nolan war film that I saw, and honestly, I just was not liking this movie at all. The only good thing I really liked about it was just the war effects. Everything else just did not seem that good. You didn't really care for the characters, you don't really understand what the whole story is, and honestly, I don't really care about Tom Hardy in this film. That's just my opinion. Number 17, The Black Cauldron. Yes, I know that this movie is trashed on, and I don't understand. It's actually pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying it's like top tier Disney. I mean, it's right there in between, but it's actually a pretty good film. The characters have come from all these different stories, and that I actually do like the characters in the movie. Granted, the story is not as complex or anything, but at the same time, I do enjoy the characters that they put in the movie. Number 16, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Now, for me, this was a film that I honestly just enjoyed. I just thought that it's definitely one of the better Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, but it's not the best one. It definitely has some very weird moments. It definitely has some very weird stuff, but I enjoy it in the way that it did it. Number 15, Hitman's Wife, Bodyguard. Once again, much like the original film, Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson have great chemistry, but I think what it does better is the special effects and the action sequences. I think the action is definitely well done in this film than they did in the original film. And I just think that the action was much better well done. It was handled better. The story is a bit weird, not gonna lie. The ending was just so laughable, and that it made me laugh out loud. But overall, a pretty good sequel, but not the best one. Number 14, An American Affair. This was my movie for Martin Luther King Day, but technically there was another movie that I saw for Martin Luther King Day, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, you know, it was honestly okay. The way that it transitions stories, I'm not really a big fan of it, but the soundtrack and the relationships were pretty good. So I guess I can give it credit to that. Number 13, Dinosaur. Now this is a movie that I think has some great special effects. But the story and the characters, I just didn't really enjoy that much. The story itself, I just didn't care for all that much. And, I don't know, I just couldn't really care for it as much. Number 12, Atlantis, The Lost Empire. This is actually a pretty good film that everybody just keeps saying that they want a Disney live-action remake of it. And, you know, with the way that the story is told, there's definitely a lot of ways you can make this into a Disney remake. And it's true. It's a cool idea, but, and also, like, I like the cast, I like some of the animation, but to me, it's just not one of the best Disney films for me. I just can't, I don't understand why some people hate it, and I don't understand why some love it. Like, I just don't get that. Alright, now this is where we get to, one of the more better films, so some of my favorites. In number 11, The Story of Robin Hood and His Merry Men. I thought this film was actually pretty good. You actually liked the characters, you actually liked the world, and you liked the world, and you just like everything pretty much. And some of the effects are pretty bad, I do still like it. Number 10, The Great Mouse Detective. This is it's kind of like the Aristocats for me, where I kind of enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters and stuff, but like I enjoyed everything. And I don't know, like, I just liked the entire movie. Even though the premise was weird, I just enjoyed it a lot. So, I just really liked it. Number 9, Batman 1989. Once again, as it's one of the more earlier comic book films of this genre, I thought it was a pretty good film. Michael Keaton nails it as Batman. Nicholas Coulson, or whatever his name is, he works as the Joker. There are some corny parts, and it is a little bit outdated, specifically because it was released in 1989. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Number 8, Batman Returns. Sorry, wrong movie. What I thought this film did really well is that they actually did better with the action. They actually introduced some new characters like Catwoman, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, and Penguin, played by Danny DeVito. And I thought they had great performances. And once again, I think they did the Batman character right. So I think they just did a lot of stuff better with this film. Number 7, Our Friend Martin. This was the film I was talking about with my Martin Luther King movie review. I technically watched this movie in my school, in my world history class. And it was just a bunch of fun. I remember watching parts of it in like 7th grade, but I don't remember finishing it. But I remember finishing it in this year. And I just gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. The concept of them going back in time to previous events of Martin Luther King's life, it's kind of weird, but I enjoy it. Number 6, Meet the Robinsons. Another time travel story that I actually am talking about. And I actually really enjoyed this film. It really just tells a great time travel story between all these different characters. And all of them are likable. You kind of like all the weirdness that's going on. And it's just a bunch of fun. That's really all I can say. It's just a bunch of fun. Number 5, Flubber. The Robin Williams as a scientist movie. And I really enjoyed his performance. Once again, he knows how to play the weirdness. He knows how to play it. And it just reminded me a lot like Bill Nye the Science Guy. Because I've been watching him through my science teacher. And it's just great. All the weirdness with the way that he created this Flubber character, it's just fun. And the whole movie is just fun. Number 4, The Last Duel. Another film that I actually missed last year in 2021. And I actually really enjoyed this film. Once again, the action, of course, is pretty great. The cast is really good. The way that they tell the story is pretty interesting, even though there's some parts I don't understand. Overall, just a very cool film, while not necessarily being the most rewatchable film of the bunch. Number 3, Carol. My first movie that I actually watched in 2022 of retro films, and I really enjoyed this film. It once again, Kate Blanchett, seeing her in something different other than Cinderella and Thor Ragnarok is just great. Her interactions with her little lesbian part I thought was great. And the relationship between both of them is great. It doesn't focus much on New Year's, though, but I would still say it's a very good film to start out for the new year. In second place for our runner-up is Harry Potter and the not the Chamber of Secrets. I watched that last year in April. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I thought this was a very enjoyable film. And once again, it's another time travel story that I liked. And it was just very good. The way the story was told, it was great. The way they actually make in this new villain in was great. And it was just overall a great movie. But coming in first place is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I thought this was a great movie. First off, the animation is simply fantastic. The songs are all great. And honestly, I was expecting this movie to be like the Pocahontas, another Pocahontas movie. But this was not it. The story was great. All the characters are likable, and you actually have some character arc, especially with Frollo, who is a great villain. Quasimodo is a great character, and Esmeralda is beautiful. Everything about this movie is pretty great, except some stuff with like Esmeralda dating the prince instead of Quasimodo. I feel like they could have gone together. And then the stuff with Frollo falling in love with Esmeralda, but like it's kind of disgusting in a way, but at the same time, I still do love it. So overall, I love The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that's why it's my favorite movie of retro movies of January 2022. And that's my ranking. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social medias are in the About section over there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.